I welcome you all to another edition of Bystanders at News 10. Really appreciate viewers across the globe for joining us on this program. We say thank you all. In the UK, we say thank you. In the US, we say thank you. Italy, Spain, Germany, Israel, Portugal, Brazil, and where you are watching us from, we say thank you all and welcome you on the program once again. Bystanders at News 10, your number one super review program. Friday edition of this program. As thank God it's Friday. We have different papers today we'll be treating. Have different deadlines here. And before that, let's quickly talk about the insecurity that we are currently facing. Of course, there is a latest development in the country as to 15 states and enlisting about 50,000 vigilantes against kidnappers. That's a story on the Punch newspaper. Let me quickly read it out. The latest developments. In a move to push back the rampaging kidnappers and bandits operating freely across the country, 15 state governors have assembled no fewer than 52,106 man vigilante squads to battle the hoodlums. Like I said, it's the latest development, a move by the governors in the country. Officials in Delta, Kano, Plateau, Sokoto, and 11 other states told newsmen that their governors had cobbled together a coalition of vigilantes, hunters, and neighborhood watch groups to complement the police and other security forces. Scores of Nigerians have been abducted across the country in the past weeks, with the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, Lagos, and some other states coming under abductors' siege. Like we do say on the program, it's a tough situation in the country, but the federal government, state government are doing something drastic to make sure this comes to an end in the nation. Insecurity everywhere. Of course, we are still facing inflation, facing poverty, hunger, unemployment. So many challenges in the country right now, but we hope we defeat all this. All right, to the New Telegraph newspaper this morning, what do we have on its front page? Nigerians groan amid helplessness. That's what we have. That's on insecurity. Nigerians groan. Page of New Telegraph newspaper. And to the next one, we have Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger's exits on these three countries that are pulled out of the bloc, ECOWAS. Member nations must give ECOWAS 1 year notice. That's what Sage is saying here. On to the next one, the Daily Sun newspaper on its front page. What's this story all about here? Pipeline explosion kills 5 oil thieves in Imo. Pipeline explosion kills 5 oil thieves in Imo. Wow. Security operatives swoop on forex dealers in Abuja. BDCs shut down over worsening scarcity. That's road change operators shut down over worsening scarcity. To the next one, the Vanguard newspaper was Vanguard saying the major headline: after Ekiti, more children kidnapped in Benue State. After Ekiti, more children kidnapped in Benue State. I think not even I think, a monarch was killed in Kwara State yesterday. This is coming a few days after 2 monarchs were killed in Ekiti State. These are sad stories in the country. We have it here that after Ekiti, more children kidnapped in Benue State. I don't forget that the pupils were kidnapped in the Ekiti State. Currently, their lives are currently in danger as these abductors are threatening to kill them. Let the state government and the federal government, security agencies do something uh, fast to rescue these pupils. We don't want to lose them. Don't forget the Dapchi girls and the Chibok girls who were kidnapped in the country. Please let us make sure these pupils are out of the custody of these abductors. To the next one, establish state police to fight insecurity. PDP governors tell federal government. Establish state police to fight insecurity. PDP governors tell federal government. And to Nigerian News Direct, was Nigerian News Direct saying to the major headline, revenue remittance article condemns CBN's takeover of crude oil sales. The first news. The first news. Alleged tenor elongation, federal government set to sack FRSC Corp Marshal. Down the paper, 21 suspects arrested over killing of Ekiti monarchs, abduction of pupils, says the police. Salient Times. On Salient Times, we have 81% of employed Nigerians are in sectors that don't add value to economy. That's what a man is saying here. Taiwo Oyedele and the Nation newspaper, the front page of the Nation newspaper. We have on page, what page is this? Let's see it. Okay, it's not clear. On the front page of the Nation, pressure mounts on abductors of Ekiti pupils. Pressure mounts on abductors of Ekiti pupils. Nigeria's fall. Sorry, Naira's fall. Naira's fall. Nigeria will not fall, please. Naira's fall. CBN moves against banks for ordering $5 billion. And the last paper I'll be reading to the viewers across the globe. Nigerians decry rising cost of living. Nigerians decry rising cost of living. Rice costs 70,000 naira. A bag of rice now. A bag of rice is now 70,000 naira. Flour 44,000 per bag. Cement 7,000 per bag. It is now difficult to survive in Nigeria. It is now very, very difficult, Matthew, to survive in Nigeria. We all know it's obvious. Everybody knows that it's a challenging time for Nigerians, and we hope to overcome this. Matthew, good morning to you.
Good morning, thank you for having me.
You're welcome on board. The bag of rice is now sold for 70,000 naira. I think that as of last week or last month, it was sold for 68,000 naira. And I do tell people that it is not just inflation that causing all this, not a matter of inflation, there is food insecurity as well. And this as a result of the farmers that could no longer go to the farm, to do their normal businesses. Matthew, it's really a tough time for Nigerians.
Once more, thank you for having me. Let me quickly tell you that I'm a little bit worried. I'm worried because I was thinking that the government of Senator Amebola Tinubu would do things differently from the way Muhammad Buhari's government did it. Because we understand that the reason some food are costly, particularly like rice, is because let us quickly acknowledge that demand and supply is a natural phenomenon that determines price. And let us quickly acknowledge that currently we do not have the capacity to produce what we consume in terms of rice. That is to say, if you stop importation, definitely you are creating shortage of rice, and it is bound to cause an increase in the price. I think that is directly the best way to explain what we are seeing in terms of the price of rice. I'm not saying we should not encourage local production, local cultivation. I don't want people to get it twisted. What I'm trying to say is you need to balance it. As it stands, to bring down the price of rice, you need to open border and allow importation to an extent. When the price comes down, if you see that the importation of rice is threatening local cultivation, local production, you can regulate it and reduce the rate of importation to encourage local farmers so that they can sell their product. But in the meantime, I think it's important that we get more supply. And to get more supply, to open our borders and allow importation of rice. So I encourage this government to look in that direction. We understand that the government under Muhammadu Buhari had a very stringent condition for importing rice. At the time, we understand that even custom officers will go on the road, searching vehicles. If they see foreign rice in the vehicle, they seize it, not even on the borders alone. So, like I said, I'm not against production locally and for local production. But in the meantime, we need to import to drive down the cost. But if you, in the event of importing, if we see that it is already threatening our local cultivation, local production, and local farmers, we can tighten the importation. But for now, I think the government, I'm encouraging the government to look into relaxing the policy on importation and allow foreign rice to come in.
Now, on abduction, we have 15 states that have enlisted uh, over 50,000 men against kidnappers. I believe this will go a long way in curtailing what is really affecting the nation. Just yesterday, a monarch was killed in Kwara. Don't forget the pupils, they were kidnapped in Ekiti. Not forgetting also the two monarchs were killed in Ekiti as well. Benue State as well. I think, yeah, some persons.
When the director of one government federal agency was kidnapped in Abuja. In Abuja, yes.
Yeah. So, Matthew, I think this will go a long way. We've been clamoring for local security outfit. Will this go a long way?
I am still going to dwell in the same trajectory of let this government do things differently from the way Muhammadu Buhari's government did it, particularly in this area of security. I understand that federal government has always maintained a position, the same position, irrespective of who is in charge. That is to maintain the status quo. They have always resisted every attempt to vulcanize the security arrangements. We have said it often so many times that the command and control system that is centralized is no longer working. That there's every need to rejig the current security arrangements to allow the governors have some level of security power. And to do that is to say, let us give state policing a chance. But the idea of the vigilante we are seeing, we have to be understood whether those security personnel will be given the liberty, will I say liberty, the right to carry arms, to give them the capacity to combat crime. Because we are saying, don't carry AK-47, don't carry AK-49 as the case may be. They may lack the capacity to combat the marauding herders who move freely with AK-49, AK-47. Don't forget that Bala Mohammed, the governor of Bauchi State, once said that the Fulani man is a global citizen, that he doesn't need the permission of anyone to move around with arms, and they move around with arms to protect their cow. So if somebody of that status, a governor for that matter, could rise in defense of Fulani herdsmen, who even the former president of Muhammadu Buhari acknowledged that most of them come from neighboring countries of Niger, Burkina Faso, all those Mali, and into our country. So for me, if we must police our society, if we must guarantee the safety of lives and property, we must decentralize the security arrangement. It is a good thing that the states are looking inward on how to come about the vigilantes, but let them have the capacity to combat crime. Because you cannot enlist the locals and deploy them into the bushes with perhaps bow and arrow, whereas the adversary, the terrorists, the kidnappers the bandits, name it, whatever name they go by, the non-state actors are moving freely with AK-47 and AK-49 as the case may be. So I think the state governors should be bold enough to engage with the presidency, to tell him, look, we understand that we are the respective governors and the chief security officer of our respective states, and the way it stands, we are handicapped. Just like Jonathan Jan said in the past, that as a governor, that he did not command a fly in his state. Just as Ewike said, while he was the governor of Rivers State, that he's not the chief security officer of his state, but rather the chief logistic officer. So they should be bold enough to engage with the presidency or the president rather, and tell you that yes, we are handicapped. Our people need to be protected. Because this needs a concerted effort. Nobody is saying if you do it, that they should use it to disintegrate, that they should bring secession. But it's a necessity the way it stands. And I think if the governor should come in unison and approach the presidency for the need to allow those vigilantes to bear arms, to give them capacity to combat crime, I think the presidency will listen.
All right, you can join the program this morning by using the link on the comment section, please.
Then again,
okay.
If the presidency refuses to listen, then the people cannot rise, know where their problem is. That the governor has played their parts, and that the presidency refused, then the people cannot go on the streets to demand for proper security.
Now let me move down to the comment section. I had to pin this down. David Okafor, what did you say? It is a known fact that Buhari made kidnapping a lucrative business by going to Kenya to kidnap Mhazi Nnamdi Kanu. I think he's looking at it from another direction. But was Nnamdi Kanu kidnapped? Was he really kidnapped?
I think that has been established by the Court of Appeal in Nigeria, that established extraordinary rendition against Nnamdi Kanu. And even in the case of Supreme Court that asked the case to start de novo, asking him to go and defend himself in some areas of terrorism charges, does not invalidate the fact that the Court of Appeal have said that this is extraordinary rendition. So for me, even as we are not trying to do that comparison, what I say in essence is there's every need for the federal government to allow security power to be shared with state governments, and even in some cases, the local government. I've said it that let us even draft the traditional rulers into the security arrangement, because these are the people that have more authority over the people. These are people that know all the terrain, all the nook and cranny, all the bushes, all the forests in their domain. And they even know to extent, if you want to profile people who are within their jurisdiction, they know them by character, by name, by activities and all that. They know their crime history and all that. So for me, I think, because one thing is, if you bring an area commander who is passed from Kano by origin to Delta State to police the environment, the people may not have the confidence to divulge some level of information, credible information to the authorities. But if the traditional ruler is having a role to play in the security arrangement, the people will be more willing to give out credible information, actionable information to the traditional institution. So for me, the bottom line is, let us think out with the current security arrangement. Let us decentralize the command and control.
On the state government setting up security outfits in their various states, we have been George saying that state governments will set up vigilante, but can they give them good ammunition? Follow said it that you should allow them. The government should allow
And
them.
another thing is,
No, let me just complete. Sorry, no. Only the president will give the approval. So what do you expect the governors to do? That's being
no, honestly, there is a certificate that is called end user certificate. Even if you are importing arm, you need that certificate, and that certificate emanates from the office of the National Security Advisor. I know that the National Security Advisor is directly answerable to the president. So invariably, they are saying the president gives approval, just like he's saying. But that's why I say, let the governors come and engage with Mr. President. Everybody have agreed that this is a menace, this is a problem, this is a very serious issue. The Constitution says the welfare of Nigerians and their security shall be the primary purpose of governance. So it is the security of Nigerians is at the heart of governance, and it's already threatened. So let the governors genuinely come together and approach the president. Since they're already having the idea of coming up with security arrangement like the Vigilantes, let them come together and approach the presidency. If the president refuses, then Nigerians can go on the streets to demand for proper security.
Now, on high cost of living, I said it earlier on that we shouldn't blame Forex alone. The inflation we are experiencing in prices of food in the market as a result of the attacks on farmers in various farms in the country. Situation whereby farmers can no longer go there to their farmlands, to do the needful. This is a worrisome situation in the country. And what is Taiwo Odunlade saying as regards this? Government must open the borders for food to come in. It's very, very important.
No, I've said that. I said we should balance it. Currently, there is food crisis. Even if federal government, don't forget that the other time federal government said they were going to open our strategic foreign reserve, where they said they needed to give 5 million worth of grain to each state. According to them, on record, it has been done. In practice, I doubt whether that has been done. If it has been done, whether it was released or not, but we should acknowledge that there is food crisis, food shortage. And that to that extent, let them open the border. When the imported rice start coming in, if we notice that it's already threatening local production, you regulate it a little bit. But for now, we need those imported rice.
And it's also giving solution to this, as Taiwo Odunlade. At least the borders should be open for about 6 months. Then we can regulate it thereafter. I hope Udezi Jima will buy into the suggestion of Odunlade. Taiwo said the border should be open for 6 months.
No, I've already stressed on that.
6 months enough?
No, the period may not be determined by, you monitor the development. If you look at like I said earlier on, demand and supply is a natural phenomenon that determines price. So if you open the border and the foreign rice start coming in, not just foreign rice, other imported farm produce and all that, if it start coming in, you look at the price of the market. You look at the ability of local farmers to sell their products. Then you marry it, you weigh the two. And government should have the capacity to, with or without buyers approaching the farmers, to absorb everything that is produced by the farmers. We have a strategic grain reserve. You store it there. So for me, I think I agree with, for the first time, I agree with Taiwo Odunlade. No, the period is what I'm saying. The development will determine the period.
Michael said for the first time.
He said something.
Yeah, Michael said for the first time.
Yes.
And you also know that they always disagree on the platform. All right, the parents of the pupils that were kidnapped in Ekiti have cried out, told the government, security agents to make sure their children are rescued. Let me read out this story. Relatives of the victims in separate telephone interviews said kidnappers who initially demanded 100 million naira. They demanded 100 million naira, reduced it to 15 million after negotiations with the families, from 100 million naira to 15 million naira. The families, however, said the abductors insisted on the prompt payment of the reduced ransom. Warning on the reduced ransom. Let me just stop there.
But do you see why we were?
Okay.
Do you see why we were questioning the rationale behind criminalizing ransom paying? Do you not tell the parents of those children to sacrifice those children because there's a law that says if you pay ransom, you go to jail? You see why we have a government that is not serious with governance. You have an issue. You are not able to police the society, and you are looking for a solution. You want to throw away the baby with the bathwater. You want to criminalize ransom paying. Now, I understand that the director of one federal government agency, I cannot remember the agency, was kidnapped yesterday or so. Federal government sacrificed that man on the altar of that law that if you pay ransom, is criminalized. So for me, I think I will tell the federal government that have the responsibility to protect lives and property, the state governor that have the right to protect lives and property, which is the jurisdiction, to promptly pay that ransom if they cannot rescue those children alive. Because nothing must happen to those children. Because the only thing they committed is living in Nigeria and being lawful and not bearing arms as allowed by law. And government, police, army were not able to protect them. So do you not tell the parents not to pay ransom because there's a law that says if you pay ransom, you go to jail? Government should pay that ransom and get those children out of captivity. If they don't have what it takes to rescue them alive. We said it here the other time, been saying it, that 27-year-old Philip Wanton, an American citizen, that was kidnapped in Niger about 2-3 years ago. American security forces came to Sokoto State. They rescued him alive because they had the technique, they had the capacity, they had the strategy. But if you know you don't have it as a government, as a police, as army, pay ransom and get them because those children are innocent for crying out loud.
All right, thank you so much. Matthew, I appreciate you for coming on board. Michael, good morning.
Good morning, my brother.
How are you doing?
Excellently well. You?
I'm cool. Of course, you see, everywhere. Nigerians are not smiling anymore. Insecurity, hunger, unemployment. I told Matthew, and I told some persons, even before we started this program, that we are faced with many challenges. And the government of the day needs to be proactive. We need action. Just like you said we don't want excuses. Action is needed at this point in time. Michael, kidnapping in Nigeria. A few days ago, the Yoruba land, Gani Adams, said the government should give him the opportunity to act. And in 6 months, we will bring this to an end. Don't you think this man should be given a chance? Don't forget that this is what sprang up the agitation of this freedom fighter, Sunday Igboho, when the man felt his people were dealt with, his people were suffering in the hands of headsmen. He stood up and said, no, I must fight for my people. Michael, kidnapping everywhere. Ekiti State, yesterday it was Kwara State. Who knows what will happen in Lagos today? What should he be given that chance? Gani Adams.
Thank you, Michael.
He did it sometimes, Is it Igangon, Iparapa or something like that? Should he be given that chance again?
Thank you. For me, I think whatever must be done to get the desired results, I think it's welcome as long as it is not doesn't pose any threat to any other person. It's a welcome idea. So, but it's so unfortunate that the security system do not have what it takes to get captured or kidnapped Nigerians out of their captors. We cannot be saying we are building a nation where we now resort to organizations that that was once probably criminalized or said to have not been doing things rightly in the past. Just the way we were forced to embrace the likes of Tompolo in policing our waterways and all of that. It's the same thing that is coming to play out with what Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò has said. It is unfortunate that those that have been recognized constitutionally to carry out these assignments are failing in their responsibility, and we are looking at alternatives. But as I said, whatever must be done to keep this nation safe, whatever must be done to keep people from being kidnapped, government must look into it and coordinate such activities so that it doesn't really translate into another problem that we are going to be dealing with. Don't forget also in the past when the OPC activity, by OPC I mean Odua People's Congress, one of the faction that was led by the same Gani Adams. Now, at a point, they were doing some. They're trying to intervene in some security issues within, especially I know Southwest at that time. That is where they are based. They intervened in some issues, but because there was no proper coordination, they began to misbehave. You see OPC going to arrest people over land matters, over husband and wife issues and all of that, and it became a problem before Obasanjo clamped down on Gani Adams a couple of years ago, and that was history now. So whatever local solution we are bringing on board must still be properly coordinated. That's my point. Must be overseen very exactly, so that it doesn't lead to another problem that we are going to be dealing with. We are going to be nursing again. Exactly. So that's my point on that.
All right. Still on insecurity, the media team of the president said the journalists, let me just use it that way, or newsmen, should soften reports on security challenges in the country. A situation whereby the country is on fire. Do you expect newsmen to keep quiet, Michael?
Well, I don't understand where that is coming from. But wherever it is coming from, I think the person has not spoken responsibly. You can't stop journalists from doing their job. Their job is to report what is happening. Whether be it a security matters or not, if it has happened, it has to be reported. So your job is to face your assignment and do your own job. You can't be interfering with people's assignment, people's constitutional assignment. The journalists are called the watchdog of society and all of that. So they have their own constitutional role to play. Yours is to do your job. Your principal should face his work and get results. And it will equally be reported by the same journalists. It will equally be reported by the journalists who are trying to threaten now, if I may use that word. So yours is to face your assignment. Forget about what it. See, except a journalist deviate from what is happening or trying to exaggerate or misrepresent what has happened. As long as they are within their assignment, just forget about them, allow them to do their job and face your own job and let your principal do the same.
Michael. You know, there was, as of last week, the police force said that we should stop paying ransom to these kidnappers. This morning again, we stated that it is criminal to pay ransom to rescue kidnapped victims. If you have, I'm not saying, I don't pray it happens to you. Are you getting me now?
Yeah.
If such happens to your enemy or to your loved one, won't you go, as far as getting money to get that person rescued?
Michael,
Won't you pay ransom?
I will get back to you. No, I will get to your question, but I want to lay a premise. I stated it a few days ago that Section 14 and subsection 2B of our Constitution, 1999 Constitution, states that the security and welfare of the people shall take note of that word, shall be the primary purpose of government. Anything that is short of that, a government is not in place. See, it is not just a moral burden on this administration to ensure that our citizens are well protected and well taken care of. It is a constitutional matter. In serious crimes, the seat of the president must have been threatened by now in terms of impeachment and all of that. because he's failing in that constitutional mandate. It's not about a party. I hardly discuss party issues now. We are talking about the constitution that Mr. President swore to. He's failing in that regard. So back to your question that whether we should pay ransom or not, I think the person must have lost his or her mind, whoever is bringing that policy, that families of victims that have been kidnapped should not pay ransom. That person must have lost his or her mind. You may not have sorry Michael, you may not have an idea of what it means to have a loved one in captivity. I was close to somebody that was kidnapped a few years ago. I mean, I'm close to the family. So it gave me an idea of what it means. This man was a retired civil servant based in a lorry. He was kidnapped while coming around the Kitty axis and all of that. He was coming back home. He was coming from a trip. Kidnapped, taken into the forest. They demanded a certain amount. The family were able to raise about 4 million or thereabouts. They paid the ransom after 3 or 4 days in captivity. He was eventually released. Michael, that man died 3 or 4 days after his release. He was released. I was at the burial at Ilorin. I mean, that is how close I was to a victim that has not done anything. That the only crime he committed that he was in Nigeria, minding his business. That man lost his life to that ordeal. I was at the burial. So for somebody to come out and say you want to criminalize what when you don't have what it takes to bring people out of their captivity, then you must have lost your mind.
All right, Michael, moving down to another one here. Hunger. Another serious case in Nigeria now. Hunger. You see people walking on the street, they think it's a lie. No go fight person, you go push person. That's the health. Person is gone. All right, we have a caller on the line. Okay. All right, you can pick the call. Good morning. Your name and where you're calling us from, please. Good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, can you hear us? Can you hear us? Please, you can make your contribution. We can hear you. Go ahead, please. I think there's a glitch there. The caller should please call us back. We are available to pick your call. All right, Michael. Talking about hunger in the country. Everybody said at least the government should open the borders for 6 months. And we have a comment by Chima here. Mr. Adekunle, the borders in the northern part of Nigeria is always open. Say the borders are always open. Forget about the propaganda of closed borders. Do you subscribe to what Idris said?
No, I won't be surprised, even though I'm not in the northern part at the moment, but I will not be surprised that the border of that part of the country is open for business. You know, the northern guys have an understanding, especially when it comes to the neighboring countries like Niger and all of that. There's an understanding in their affairs there. Things move freely in those axes than the south, and that is the truth. All the bottlenecks that we see around here are really played down in the north. So, and I think generally, to your question in terms of the hunger in the land and all of that, I think the president uh, should, as a matter of urgency, open the borders for food to come into the country. Part of the policy that the Buhari administration tried to put in place, which wasn't bad, but it didn't yield the desired result, was that okay? Let us encourage local production of food. But a couple of years down the line, that the border had been shut, even the local production could not meet up with the demands, just as Mr. Matthew said, the demand and supply phenomenon. The local production it's not meeting up with the reality, with the demand now. So that approach has not yielded the desired result. Much as we want to encourage local production, we want to encourage people to be engaged thoroughly here. Since we are not meeting up, those shortfalls must be allowed to come in through the borders to complement what is going on within. As we speak, a bag of rice is going for close to 70,000, if I'm correct. It doesn't make any sense a bag of rice is more expensive than the minimum wage. The minimum wage as we speak is around 30,000.
Which some states are not paying. Some states
exactly.
Governments.
That is insanity. There is no better way to put it. If a bag of rice is more than what an average person can earn as a salary, it doesn't make any sense. So you must open your borders, allow some of those things to come in to complement what is already on. Food, and I mean lack of it, is a major security issue. People don't look at it. That's why we talk about food security. Food, when it is not in place, can drive a man to do all sorts, to commit any crime. So when you are trying to contain crime or criminality generally, you must look at the basics, and one of the basics is food. So government must begin to look in this direction, open the borders for food to come into the country to complement what is already on ground. It has to be controlled. I understand that part, so that we don't kill our local operations. So it should be a temporary measure. Food should be allowed to come in for a while. Then later we begin to restrict the influx again.
All right, then we move down to the comment section. We have Time Ordinary saying the price of rice must come down. I don't trust local producers of rice and food generally. I think we have a rice factory in Lagos.
Yes, there's one in Motai Group. Yes.
So what's happening?
I have not been there. I don't know what they are doing, but from what we are seeing, they are not meeting up. We are talking about over 200 million people. That is what we are dealing with. Lagos alone is over 20 million people. So it cannot. They are not meeting up. They may be doing some things there, but they are not meeting up with the demands. That's the issue.
All right. Sorry, excuse me. Let me take you back to the major topic. 15 states enlist 50,000 vigilantes against kidnappers. That's on abduction in the country. I think it's a good move by this governance, trying to find a means to control this in the country. Michael, vigilantes. Matthew said they should allow them bear arms, let them carry arms to fight these evil men. Are you in line with it?
Yes, I mean,
not just
don't just assemble people and give them guns when the enemies you expect them to go and confront are going with AK-47. I mean, it's a suicide mission. even from the start. So people should be allowed to, if you want to do a thing, do it. I mean, the saying that whatever is worth doing is what doing well. Let's learn to do things properly. There is no point assembling people and just go and kill them, because these guys are going to kill them. It's just a matter of time. If they don't have what it takes, you must sit down and count the costs. What does it take to get the kind of results that we are talking about here? So if your result is to flush out a man that is or people in the forest with AK-40 whatever, then you must give the vigilantes, the locals, the local security network that you are trying to form, you must give them weapons that can match what their enemies are going about with.
And the last question I will ask you is that this administration, Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration, what advice would you give to him? This is about 8 months or so. What advice would you give? Generally, I'm not talking about security alone. Economically, what advice would you give to him?
You know, we have been told to wait for that. It's a new administration.
Right?
Elofokombale phenomenon. Everything will soon be okay. I can feel your pain, as they do tell Nigerians, which I've always said they don't have an idea of what their pains feels like. These are people that have not known pain in the last couple of decades. They don't have an idea of what pains feels like, but they tell you from time to time they can feel your pain and all of that. My advice for this government is to, for once, dare to be different from what we've had in the past. It has to be a daring move, which I have not seen so far in the last 8 months of this current administration. As a matter of fact, he told us specifically before the elections that he was going to build on what Muhammadu Buhari administration did. You cannot build something on nothing. So if this administration is serious, if this administration is ready to get results, you must learn to do things differently. But the part that I have seen so far doesn't show that he plans to do anything differently, except he changes that position as soon as possible.
Thank you so much, Michael.
My pleasure, my brother.
All right, viewers all over the world, we go beyond this today. Thank you for joining us. And for those who commented on the comment section, we say thank you so much for joining us on today's program. Tomorrow is another day bringing you this program. We say goodbye to you, everyone. Bye for now.